Hello. As you can see, this is a 2018 Aprilia RSV4 RR, and it's really naked right now because I just got race fairings all ready for the season. Now I'm going back to road fairings. When I was trying to mentally prepare myself to get the bike ready for race fairing fit, I was looking online for instructional stuff on just tips for removing all the OEM stuff, and I have the parts diagram, I have the service manual, so I was looking at all of that stuff too. It was just a lot, so I decided to just sort of dive in and rip it all apart. Luckily, it came apart a lot easier than I expected it to, but there were no video resources online that I could find anyway that showed details of exactly what goes where, how to do it. Caveat, this bike has 20,000 miles on it, just about 51% of which were done by a previous owner. There are some little mysterious things with this bike, particularly with fasteners and different things that are, I'm sure, not OEM. A little bit of jerry rigging on the bike here and there, but no big deal. So you can ignore those bits, but I figured I would just clip some little parts of putting this all back together, because this is literally my first time putting all of the OEM fairings back on the bike after having taken them off. I figured I would just try to clip a few bits, make a video, try to be helpful. We'll come back with the first tip here in just a little bit. First tip, we're starting with the tail light. So tail light, you have your wire, and you have these, you can see this bottom part here, the plastic tray that sits under all the battery, the fuse box and everything. This lip right there, where can you see? That's the best way probably. Goes over top, and there's two little pins, and the wire goes through the subframe here, and you kind of come up like this, and there it sits on the pins. And I have my side screws here, which when I put the race fairings on, I just bolted them right back into the subframe and left them there. Easy way to not lose track of your stuff, although I have a system. So get these guys in there. That's tip number one. This little bracket, I'm in the way. I can't show you very well if I'm in the way. Don't forget, this guy goes, these two bolts mount into the subframe, and this is one of the weird little things. You can kind of see there's a tab that this metal bracket slides underneath. It's just securing the tail light assembly, and there's an additional two bolt holes in that bracket. And one of the weird things about this particular bike is that I only have one bolt for those other ones. So those other two are for the tail pieces, which I will come to. I'm going to get the tail tidy and turn signals back on first, which this bike, I bought it with this tail tidy setup. So this is not going to be original anyway. Pay no attention to this. This is just this particular setup. Honestly, it's a bit of a pain, but I've got it generally figured out. I'm going to get this on, and then we'll get back to the OEM plastics. A good friend of mine gave me the top tip to just use blue, I don't even know if you can see this, blue painter's tape to hold your bolts in all of your fairings. With an RSV4 in particular, most of us know that a lot of the fairing bolts are interchangeable, except for the ones that have collars on them. So it's not that big of a deal, but at least this way I know I'm not going to lose anything like an idiot, because that can happen sometimes. I had the tail bolt. Actually, this was another one of the bolts that I literally just left bolted into its mounting point on the subframe when I had the track fairings on, just so that I would not lose it. And here we go, getting the cable in, and you just gotta snap the cable housing down into its resting place. And on the bottom of these tail fairings, I'll show you on the other one, you can see this tab gives you a hint There's another little tab here. You have to slide these forward to get them to seat properly. But once you do, it's all pretty straightforward to get them in. And there's these little plastic pins, which are really, really tricky. I definitely broke the other one. How integral they are in really holding everything together, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But there's a bolt here, and there's a bolt here, so I don't think that this tail piece is gonna have an issue, but obviously if you can try not to break these little push pins, and they are push pins. There's a very small plastic rod that goes in here like a normal, like the bigger pins all over the fairings on this bike, but it's just so small. The only way to get these off is to wedge a flat head underneath it and just get them out, as far as I can tell. So I'm sure that an Aprilia technician somewhere is crying hearing me say that, but hey man, we're all doing the best we can here. So let's see if I can find the slots for sliding this guy forward. There's the upper one, there's the lower one. There we are. And before I forget, I have the other bolts there as well. So I'm going to get those out again. And the upper bolt, oh, okay, another little thing. It clips into this upper cap on top of the taillight, which should have a bolt, but again, my bike is weird. My bike did not have that bolt. We don't ask questions that we don't need the answers to. So you see what I mean? I haven't even gotten this plastic push pin in yet, and this is not going anywhere. The pin goes into the plastic tray. On this side, it's just next to the Bosch logo. I don't actually love this, and I want to get a fastener in there. I got a fastener kit on Amazon, just a bunch of different like automotive push pin fastener type deals. I'm gonna see if one is just gonna work here just to secure this. That took 0.2 seconds. I took one of the pins out of these automotive fasteners, and I was able to just use that in the old housing. She's on there. And for those of you that don't know, this is an old Midwestern statesman trick. That ain't going anywhere. If you know, you know. Midwesterners, what are you gonna do? The other side is gonna be easier because, for one, I have not broken the pin, and for two, it doesn't have a lock mechanism built into it. So I got that going for me. At least the rear of the bike is starting to look like a bike again, sort of. Now, don't break the pin at this point, because that would be really silly. There. We're gonna clip this. Oh, that goes there. We're gonna clip this in with our tail light cap. I've missed. And there goes my impact. I missed a tab. You know, I was just saying to a friend of mine how, compared to we were taking apart my buddy's 1199 Tricolore a few weeks ago, and that thing was really it was really special to work on it. And when I say special, I mean it was kind of a pain in the ass, if I'm being honest. And I was all excited because I was like, oh man, like the Aprilia came apart so well. It wasn't a pain, pretty easy. I'm excited. Like, oh, it's just gonna go back together even easier. Then it came apart. I may be eating my words. Well, I suppose that answers my question on which side that one bolt went into. It went into this side because there's a washer there that science has happened, and it's now melded to the tailpiece. I'm not worried. That ain't going anywhere. Like I said, I'm not wrong. This goes in here. Just don't put up a fight. This is the one thing I really do wish that there was just one bolt size. Generally, it's pretty consistent, but it could be better. This pin, because I didn't break it, is now giving me problems. So I'm going to try to get that in. The pin has not come out all the way, so now it doesn't want to go back in. Okay, I got it done. The answer was to simply take the pin all the way out, like a smart person, and then it would be just fine. And that's what happened. That's what it was. Got the pin all the way out. Side pieces. Very easy. Because at this point, I really don't know that there's much that I need to be specifically showing anybody. I hope this close-up is very nice. Yeah, truly, I think the tail is probably the most tricky part, and it's the part that we probably take off the bike the least, because when you're doing oil changes or coolant flushes or regular services, you know, you're lifting the tank, you're taking the side fairings and the belly pan off. You don't really take the tail off very often unless you're specifically doing a tail tidy or putting track fairings on, right? I think that was the part that was the most daunting, perhaps. And the rest of this, if you're watching this video, you probably have already taken off and put on all the rest of these fairings at least a few times by now for regular maintenance reasons. And I hope you are all doing your regular maintenance. I maintain, if you take care of your machines, they will take care of you. I say this to anybody, about cars, about bikes, about whatever. It's all the same. You just take care of your stuff and it'll look after you as well. So unless there's anything else that I specifically think somebody might really need some help with, I'm just going to stop doing this now. I think this has now become a tail section reconstruction video. We're going to call it there. Yeah, Midwest trick, that ain't going anywhere. You gotta give it a tap, say the words, that ain't going anywhere. And in the words of a very wise man, if the women don't find you handsome, at least they'll find you handy. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something.